We'll do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. But yeah, it's been an interesting weekend. I mean, first the Gladiator trailer drops just as the aunties are getting off the plane, coming home from Essence Fest, and they went. I mean, let's put it like this: we went from, oh, why does Gladiator need a sequel? Gladiator does not need a sequel to, I don't know. Looks like this might be good, to the aunties are sold. The aunties are sat. It's Denzel Washington with the earring. It's Denzel Washington looking luxurious. It's Denzel Washington with the salt and pepper hair. It's Denzel Washington talking like a corrupt New Jersey cop in the middle of ancient Rome.
Which I do love because I do tire of the convention dating back to whenever it is that
the Queen's Latin.
Yeah, everybody in history Latin has a British accent. If it's in the past, it's British.
Yeah, I just consider it's colonialism's last and gentle dying gasp.
Can you imagine if anybody in Middle Earth sounded like they were from Minneapolis?
People have tried that. Well, there's a trend on TikTok where people are doing Shakespeare with Appalachian and Southern accents. And honestly, I'm sold. I'm sold. I want it. I want a full Titus Andronicus production where everybody sounds like they were rejected from Deliverance for sounding too intelligent. That's what I want. I want that.
A whole, a whole drama about the Tennessee Valley Authority, like King. I think we discussed last time about the fact that I was shocked that Denzel Washington and Pedro Pascal were in it because I don't know. I just wrote this off as who cares a while ago.
Yeah, but now people are like, who's in it? And now people are like, the white girls are like, okay, it's Pedro Pascal. Yes, Denzel Washington, who I love, but Pedro Pascal! Squirt, 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 squirt. Listen, the auntie's been sad. The moment they dropped the first picture of him looking luxurious in an imperial toga, they were sad. Then they gave us the half face poster. They were even more sad and were preparing the ShamWow claws. Now that they've dropped the whole damn thing with the Jay-Z reference, which is obligatory, I fully expect that I could probably ask who has a shot of yak for me in this theater, and I would probably get one.
I'm not looking forward to it enough to see it in theaters, but I will see it eventually.
Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to be one of those films that's going to do okay in theaters.
Most of Ridley Scott's movies do okay. Just okay.
Once it drops on streaming, oh no, bitch. Yeah. Oh, it's happening.
Like Prometheus did incredibly well, but otherwise a lot of Ridley Scott's movies don't make a lot of money.
No, they just listen, that man just been eating off an Alien. That's all it is. Why lie? I mean, man's been eating off an Alien from before both of us were born.
I am in the world of cinema. I love that people are finding out, just how people seem to be quite surprised that Martin Scorsese loves Ty West's X trilogy.
I can see it though.
It's very much like it. I really like that people are learning that, of course Scorsese is going to like a movie that's almost a love letter to movies. And
it's a love letter to a lot of gritty 1980s, 1970s and 80s stuff that he's very familiar with. I think he sees a lot of the shit that he used to do, wanted to do, couldn't do, but wanted to do in this film, and he's like, "Bitch, go on ahead. I'm here for it," and I get it. And a trilogy made up of spiritual successors is 100% Scorsese's jam. He loves that shit.
Yeah.
He really does. He loves a spiritual successor.
Oh, my favorite Scorsese produced movie is Free Fire with Cillian Murphy and Brie Larson.
Wasn't the now disgraced Army Hammer in it too?
Yes, he was.
There was a period where he was Facebook friending everybody. I think even I was Army Hammer's Facebook friend for a minute. I think I still am. I just don't use Facebook.
It's always nice to have someone. I think it's really nice for Adam Levine to have someone to look at and say he was worse than me on the DMs. Let's be real.
I wasn't hot enough to be DM'd by him.
So I guess we got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Biden has not done a great job of assuaging fears. Except for the people
I think he's
actually.
I think he's assuaged fears. I think he hasn't assuaged fears in the pundit class. I'm sorry when you hear, like I said, there are people who are going to put their hooks on him like the witches in Suspiria and just drag him across the finish line, and they do not care. And I'm finding that that's not people in the that's not the people who are the writers. That's not the people who are the journalists. This is the people who are just regular people, especially now that more parts of Project 2025 are leaking. People are finding out that they will restructure labor laws, that things like overtime will be a thing of the past. And that immediately, I'm like, I mean, first of all, that's going to decimate people wanting to work in retail, because in retail, what happens is right around Christmas, they lift all hourly limit caps. Like they literally log in and go, delete all hourly limit caps for all employees. Yes. And you end up working 56 to 60 hours, coming home with a grand and a half, $2,000, and you're going to get rid of that. That's a problem.
It is.
It's
I think
what it is in the end, Biden wins. It's not as much about Biden himself. It's the fact that we know Biden's not going to get rid of no goddamn. Biden's not going to get himself in the pocket of corporate America enough to think getting rid of overtime is a good idea.
Well, I mean, that's fundamentally what I think the end goal of both trains of thought is. We don't want Trump to win. And a lot of people agree that the best way to defeat Trump is for Biden to stay the course. And the other group say that Biden is doomed. He should drop out and leave it for, most people say, Kamala Harris.
Not as many people as what it is there's people who are saying Kamala Harris, but it's like they're saying it, but they still have the knife sharpened for her.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like, and I'm kind of exhausted by him. I'm exhausted. There's some people that I'm kind of shocked at, and there's some people that I'm not shocked at.
Well, I mean, the people you're shocked at, what is their point of view?
Their point of view is, oh, we could do better. It's more like, well, the polls say that they think that voters think he's old. I'm like, which polls? Not every, listen, we already went through the poll bullshit in 2016.
We did, but ultimately, if you take the polls from 2016 and the polls from 2020, the common running theme is Republicans outperforming their polls.
But then you get to the actual elections, and at least the last couple elections they've underperformed. So it's kind of like everyone's kind of sitting here like, what are you, like Drewski going, well, what are you saying really?
2022 they underperformed expectations, but like general election wise, In 2016, they outperformed their polls. In
Yeah.
2020, Biden was way further ahead than he ended up actually being, and much closer, razor thin in some states like Arizona. Which wasn't Arizona something like 5,000 votes or 15,000 votes?
I think it was closer to like 8,000. It was between the neighborhood between 5 and 11. Most numbers I've heard was 8, and of course Georgia was 11,000. I'm right now what I'm hoping for. I do not think Florida will be a toss up. I think what's going to happen, because people are idiots.
Yes, people
Because
indeed
have you
are.
been to Florida? You
Not
know,
once.
yeah. Yeah, Florida is great once. But
When I
I
was
think what's
7.
going to exactly. You got out before you knew what the place was actually about. What I think is going to happen is I do think the two amendments will pass. Do I think the houses will flip blue? It's going to be a very narrow. I think if they do flip, it's going to be very narrow. Will they be able to get through amendments 3 and 4? I think it'll be also very narrow, and I think DeSantis will try to challenge it because he's bitter, he's angry, and he just wants to beat the shit out of us because we fucked up his dream of becoming president. And he has to hear Casey yell about it.
For me, the issue with Biden is he beat Trump by very slim margins
Very slim margin, yeah.
in a few states when he was ahead of the poll in sort of the aggregate national polls by a lot. And polling, post debate polling, now before the debate, he was already behind. He was already under Trump, and it had been for 7-8 months.
But it, like I
I
said,
think
and the thing,
forget that
but
his slump predates October 7th. Like he was already under by October 7th. This was not some, you know, this is not some sort of thing. But for Israeli Gaza, he would be doing well. I mean, we don't know that, but he was already polling poorly at the time. And ever since the debate, polling in swing states show him behind in very critical swing states like North Carolina, Nevada, Arizona. Nevada has an abortion referendum or
exactly.
so that could help.
Like I said, I
But
think the states where there are abortion referendums and other referendums, or you have a Republican candidate that is so fucking horrible. Yes, North Carolina, we're talking about you. That is so fucking horrible that you just can't help but be like, man, fuck this motherfucker. Fuck
that
this
guy's
motherfucker.
he's like a cartoon villain.
He is a
It's
cartoon villain, but I think what it is people really do underestimate how much America hates black women, how much black men hate black women. I think people really do underestimate that, which is also why many people are saying, you know what, no, we're going to ride this out with Biden because because the New York Post just merely gave us the tiniest little taste of what would happen if Biden were to step aside.
they spell DEI with a hard R.
Yeah, and I'm tired. I feel like I need to rest up
There's
before we and I feel like black women are looking at this and saying we need to rest up before we once again carry all you motherfuckers across the finish line yet a fucking again.
Counterpoint, and it is not to try to talk over your experience or anything like it, but I think that no matter when a black woman runs for president and gets the nomination, it will be this bad.
Oh yeah, no, I think we know it's going to be bad. It's just we would like to brace ourselves and give ourselves the best possible chance. And to be quite honest, replacing Biden with Kamala is not optimal.
I mean, if they do that and she loses, it will be held. It will be held against any future black woman who wants.
That's also why we're like, no, we're gonna keep that powder dry.
Because
So that's
John Kerry, John Kerry's loss wasn't held against future white men. So,
of course not. But it's a case of you have to. It's the 4 times as good for half the for 1/4 of the credit. So it's a case where we want to give ourselves the best possible advantage while we conquer this final hurdle, because we know it's going to be ugly. We know it's going to be violent. We know that it could really not go well at all. So we're like, let's ride this out, because most of us know a convention is coming. Most of us know we do have a long time between now and then. And most of us know that most of these fucking white male journalists are just treating this like a goddamn grad study symposium. Sorry, y'all are treating this like this is a big old grand simulation, and you get to live out your Edward R. Murrow meets Jack Ryan fantasies. And fuck it, we're tired. We're not here to be your fantasy mock population for your little grad school. What would happen? What would happen as we slid into authoritarianism? You have 2 weeks to write 15 stories. Go.
I can see the idea that this is a lot of people theorizing and gaming, and they like to envision the scenarios because it's an unprecedented situation, and people love being the smart one to come up with the big theory and the big play. But what scares me, I think, and I really, really hope that in 4 months from now, everyone is going to call me Chicken Little, and I will never be taken seriously again for my thoughts or beliefs. I am certain, as if anybody took me seriously now, but I am certain, quite honestly, that Biden loses if he stays. And I was certain of that before the debate. I was certain after. You get a certain element of people who will say that the only reason Biden is doing so poorly after the debate is because the media keeps talking about him and people keep talking about him being replaced. But my response is, we all saw what happened.
Yeah, we all saw what happened, but here's the thing. A lot of people also saw the TikToks of him after the debate. A lot of people saw the TikToks of him at the speech. A lot of people saw the TikToks of members of Congress at first, then changing their minds. Like Jerry Nadler, I believe, had changed his mind recently about the whole thing. People saw the debate, yes, but then we saw the social media afterward. So it becomes like this mixed bag, and the fact also that fuck it, I ain't seen Trump in 10 days. Usually he has a rally at least once every 2 to 4 days. He ain't been seen. So really, who's hiding here?
And again, and there's like two opposite theories for the same fact, and they both, you can make an argument for either or. One is that Trump is being advised to keep quiet and let this train wreck occur. The other is that they
possible.
are actually afraid that they will replace them, and they don't want to sort of
tip their hand.
Yes. And
it's
sound like plausible theories.
Yeah, both are plausible theories, but also I think it's also he has a sense. They are muzzling him so that he doesn't say anything dumb that will kick up dust and remind people, oh yeah, the Epstein papers are out, and you have Katie Johnson describing in graphic detail how this man sexually assaulted her and was physically violent against her. You have these papers out.
I am.
And he's hoping that if I lay low, people aren't going to think about those papers. But I guess what it is the fact that no one wants to have the conversation of he credibly raped. It's known that it's higher odds than not that he raped an adult. And it's looking very much higher odds than not that he raped a child.
Yeah, he's a pedophile, rapist, felon.
Yeah, he's like Drake, but a lot less better. But like what Drake's actual soul looks like. If we were to split Drake's body from his soul would be Donald Trump. I said what I said. Come get me. Come get me. Listen, listen. I have family in Toronto. They probably wouldn't talk to Drake either, and they have young children, so they probably wouldn't hang out with him either. So really, he's on his own.
I did like the TikTok you shared with me where the man explained, and I say this as an Italian American, that Kendrick wasn't going whap, 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 like hitting him, but was going whop, whop, whop. And
like, sir, you are without papers, both literally and culturally. Please exit.
It was
I actually also have another double layer for you. You know, at the beginning of the video, you watched the video, correct?
I didn't watch the entire video. I watched a lot, like maybe 2 minutes of it.
Did you watch at least the first minute?
Yes.
So after that teaser 18 seconds that people are still mad about that he hasn't yet released, there is a section where you see the gentleman, the founder of Crumping, Tommy the Clown, and he's like, "What's the password?" And you hear, there's like at least 4 meanings here, and I'm gonna give you one of them. Now, we all know that this is AKA Shave and a Haircut 2 Bits. Now, people have already reviewed the fact that Shave and a Haircut 2 Bits is a cakewalk rhythm. It is a minstrel show rhythm. So we already know this. But what a lot of people haven't discussed is that this was a shibboleth. Now, most people assume that Kendrick kind of knows his Bible. I'm also of that theory that he kind of knows his Bible too. There is a story in the Bible, Old Testament, where God was in his super high killing emo mode, where he told the proto-ancient Israeli state to go kill people. In one of their many wars over bullshit, fuckery, and land, they fought a nation that was very similar to them, except they had a weird accent. And obviously there was no accent you could sell them. Now, in order for them to distinguish from one to the other, they had to say a certain word. And yes, that word was shibboleth. Apparently, these other people couldn't quite get their tongue around the H right. So when you say, "What's the password?" And if that person says shibboleth, oh, okay. Hi, Joab. Now, if that person says shibboleth, oh, fuck you, motherfucker. Stab, stab, stab. You go night, night now. Bury the body. Bury the body. Now, that concept of the shibboleth, and we're talking about that call and response, apocryphally was used. Some people say it was used as far back as World War I. Some people say World War II. That both black and white American soldiers used it as a way of saying, hey, who goes there? Okay, what unit are you with? Oh, I'm with the big red one, actually. I'm with the 82nd Airborne. Okay, hi, how are you? Or who goes there? Oh, bitch, I don't know you. So this is actually, but most common usage of it as a shibboleth, they say, comes in Vietnam, where you had hundreds, thousands of young black men drafted into war that they had no emotional ties to. And some were taken as POWs. And obviously you can't see your fellow POW. You don't know who they are. They could be South Vietnamese. They could be American, but you want to know, and you weren't allowed to talk for chunks of the day. So how else are you going to know who's next to you? And if you hear you know who's on the other side. You know at least there's a fellow American, someone who is like you. If you hear that silence, they're not like us. Yeah, that took a long time to explain, but I do believe that is one of the four or five layers of meaning that Kendrick Lamar was going through on that one.
I that went entire. Yeah, that's like insane.
Like I said, I don't know what possessed that light-skinned ass Canadians who decide, you know who I'm going to start a fight with? A Pulitzer Prize winning rapper.
He has a Pulitzer?
Yes, dear. Kendrick Lamar has a Pulitzer. They study his shit at Harvard.
Okay, I know he has a Grammy. Now I know he has a Pulitzer. So he just needs to write a musical. Write a musical, then write the movie based on the musical. He could,
and he could actually pull off an EGOT if he wanted to.
What I think is, I was looking. There are only 19 EGOTs. I looked this up very recently. 19 EGOTs, 3 of which are Black women.
Yeah.
So that's like an incredibly disproportionately
small
high
group.
Representation. So
it's a very small group. But the fact that 3 Black women have managed to pull off basically the triple crown of entertainment.
It's now let me try to remember. Whoopi Goldberg's one.
Yes.
And why am I? It's Jennifer Hudson. And from she was on How to Get Away with Murder. Help me.
Annalise. I mean, that would be Viola Davis.
Yes, Viola Davis.
Yeah, and all of these are relatively young Black women. Pulling off an EGOT is, and the rest I think are composers. Yeah, and the rest are composers. Mostly. The fact that I know that Chita Rivera came close. I think she was missing the Oscar. No, I think it's the Grammy. I think she's missing. I think Chita Rivera came close. I know Nancy Kwan also came close.
Because the other thing was the PGOT, which was everything, all of the EGOT plus the Pulitzer, which I think there's only 2 or 3 who have that.
Yeah, so it's entirely possible because I do believe that he does have a Grammy. And of course the Pulitzer. He could theoretically pull off if somebody's smart enough, they could work with him to have him pull off the PGOT. So it's not impossible. He could do it. It's a thing. It can happen. But the fact that he and Dave Free worked together to create such a multi-layered music video.
Yeah, it's the layers of meaning are something that, I mean, I'm never going to get everything without being told.
Yeah, and I think honestly that's also why I think that's why Obama chose him in a rap battle. I think that's why Obama chose him. I think Obama was highly aware of the fact that this is somebody who actually read, well-read, well-worn, well-traveled.
They once called they being music critics, they once called Blue Oyster Cult the thinking man's heavy metal band. Yeah. I suppose that would make Kendrick Lamar the thinking man's, well, not exclusively a rapper, but so to speak.
Yeah, thinking man's hip hop artist. I think that's an argument a lot of people can make, and I think that that's an argument with a lot of support. Kendrick Lamar as the thinking man's rapper. I think a lot of people are going to agree with that. Every third Black progressive theology student I know loves them some Kendrick Lamar. Everyone, basically, if you have an MA in theology, you're Black and you're progressive, liberal to progressive to socialist, you at least have some positive thoughts about Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, Drake is like chewing gum, popcorn. He's, you know.
I always thought of Drake as fuckboy music. Like, if a man tells me that his favorite artist is Drake, I already know you're lying about a lot of shit. Can you please bring me an actual recent STD test? Actually, no, let's go get tested together. I don't trust you. And there's a reason, and of course that's why Metro Booming and, like, if other toxic motherfuckers in the rap industry know that you're toxic and they call you out on it, yes, Future, we all know you're toxic. But the thing is, at least Future knows he's toxic. That's the thing with Future. At least he knows he's toxic. Drake out here all being in denial about it. And I think that's also one of the things that pissed Kendrick off about him. Like, it's one thing to be toxic and know you're toxic.
I don't understand why Drake was so stupid as to think the idea, I planted the story about me being a pedophile. Who's the fool now?
Baby girl, like, the planting the story of being a pedophile was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard in my life, because honestly, I'm sitting here like, sir, then what was all this with you and Millie Bobby Brown, sir? It was to the point where even a library made fun of you. It's even to the point where now your future dating pool is already poisoned because I've lost count of how many little videos, YouTube shorts, TikToks, Twitter videos of 7 to 17-year-olds hollering, certified lover boy, certified pedophile, whoop, 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 fuck him up. Like, I've lost count of how many children are singing along with it, and the parents are like, well, now they know.
Well, yesterday I got an oil change, and the car ahead of me started their engine up to pull out, and I immediately heard din 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 din, and I'm like, it's everywhere.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know how Drake. I don't know how Drake is living with himself, because literally, the video I saw of him was of him at a club in Houston, because that's where he's pretending to be from now. And the club looks so sad. He's in the club. The club is crowded. It's a pretty nice day. Everyone looks cute, but they look so sad. It's almost like he told the DJ not to play Not Like Us. And I'm like, if I were the DJ, would I risk my job, my livelihood, to play Not Like Us with Drake in the club, but everybody looking so sad because I'm not playing it? I don't know. I'd risk it. No risk it, no biscuit. Bruce Arians did not lie. I'm sorry. I would be like, nah, I can't deal with it. Everybody looking too sad. The hoes are sad. I'm gonna cheer up the hoes.
I have a realization. This must be the 5th episode in a row we've brought this subject up. And
exactly.
That's not the realization. The realization is that I feel like maybe we're doing this because this is the only time we can control in our lives, but we have 2 choices and we can choose
are actually pretty interesting. Yeah, we have 2 actually interesting choices. We have 2 actually interesting choices. I mean, yeah, you can make a compelling argument for Drake, and there are people who are doing that. But do I trust those people? No.
They're a basket of deplorables.
They're like, sir, I can't trust. Like, what I love are the Drake fans who openly admit, nah, he's trash. He went after, I've lost count of how many Drake fans are like, the man has a Pulitzer Prize. Why did he go after him?
He also clearly, I don't know about hate, but he clearly goes out of his way to disrespect as many Black women as possible. Not even just Megan Thee Stallion, but also Halle Berry. That was just horseshit.
The fact that he went after Halle Berry, I'm like, no, fuck Drake for doing that. Drake knows better. Like at this point, the only black woman of note that he has not gone after purely because I think he is genuinely scared of her, Beyonce. Beyonce has already shared a stage with Kendrick Lamar. There is an awesome performance of them performing. There's water involved. Beyonce's barefoot. They're both stomping in the water. I called it when your bougie auntie and your woke auntie hate the same nigga and are bitching about him.
I just don't like Beyonce feels like her wrath would be on a different plane of existence than what like another like Megan Thee Stallion would fuck him up physically, but I feel like Beyonce would ruin his life.
Yeah, honestly, and I think that's the one thing Drake knows in his heart, that if I go after Beyonce, I might as well kiss everything goodbye because she will destroy me and there will be nothing I can do about it because I brought it on myself. And I think, honestly, that's why he doesn't do it. And the fact also, like I said, she shared a stage with Kendrick Lamar. She's never said a bad thing about him. Jay-Z has never said a bad thing about Kendrick. They have not said a bad thing about that man. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a case of, no, if Drake is smart, he will leave that woman's name out, that Creole woman's name out his mouth.
Next episode, I'm just going to name the episode. We're probably just going to talk about Drake again.
Yeah! Oh God. Like I said, Aubrey brought this shit on himself. He really like
God, Aubrey.
The owl in the cage at the end.
But it's kind of like hearing that Slash's real name is Saul.
Not really. Saul, his mom's Jamaican. I mean, really? Saul, Eli, short, semi-obscure biblical names. Jamaican people love that shit. So, I mean, your mom's Jamaican and she named you Saul. You wanted to become a rock star. You had good hair, so you named yourself Slash. Okay. I see it. I see the vision. Kendrick needs to have Slash on an album. That shit would be hilarious.
Oh man.
That would be awesome. We'd all enjoy it. It would be a good time.
It would be better than whatever Slash is doing now. Let me tell you, there's no bigger defender of Chinese democracy than me. I actually think
I know.
It's a good album. And I don't care that there are people who don't like it. I think
there are plenty of people who hate that fucking album.
It's no use your illusion. Nothing is. But I'm just saying, taken on its own merits, it's a really good album. But of the 4 songs that Guns N' Roses has released since they all got back together, one is good, one is okay, and then the others are terrible. And it's just kind of like, all right, maybe you guys should have stayed broken up. Your legend could have been...
Yeah, it was underwhelming and painful, but I understand nostalgia pays a pretty penny. A lot of Guns N' Roses fans are now old and their sons are finance bros. So really, what are we doing? What are we not doing here? Tickets are $250 a pop.
I wouldn't.
And there are still people willing to pay that shit.
I wouldn't pay to see Guns N' Roses in 1991.
Listen, most people, some of these guys are finding Axl's physical fall relatable.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Axl looking like what he looks like now. I'm not mad about it.
Well,
that's on him.
Axl Rose is one of those people who has escaped karma for a long time.
Yeah, and it all just came back to him on a single night, and we all got to see what he really looked like, and that was the sound of vaginas drying up all around the world and becoming tumbleweed. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. No, they're like, honestly, it's like watching the fall of Dean Cain. I've never been so grateful to be blocked by a celebrity on Twitter as Dean Cain. He used to be so hot. I don't know what the fuck happened. MAGA didn't just ruin him as an actor and make him unemployable. They ruined his looks. He was a cute half or quarter Japanese, vaguely twink into twunk, and now no.
There's this idea that floated by the Dean Cains and the Kevin Sorbos of the universe that Hollywood blacklists conservatives, and like, no, dude, they blacklist untalented conservatives. Mel Gibson is still working.
And there are people who are there are people who would be more than happy to get Gary Sinise on their fucking projects if he ever decided to come back.
Like, Ricky Schroeder still works.
Where?
Actually, come to think of it, that was
exactly.
That was long. That was his comeback. Was a while. Man, time flies.
Exactly.
No, I'm remembering his sort of comeback on 24.
Exactly.
That was like 15 years ago. Oh my gosh.
Exactly. Like, honestly, John Voight, as much of a nightmare as he is, there are probably still people who would be more than happy to hire him.
Francis Ford Coppola did. He's in Francis Ford Coppola's new movie.
There you go. Like I said, it's not that Hollywood does not hire conservatives. It's just that Hollywood doesn't hire untalented pricks, and I think that's also why Ben Shapiro's so goddamn mad about everything.
Yeah,
because it's gotta hurt being a Nepo baby and still not getting in. He hating from outside the club.
Yeah, the discussion in Nepo Babies 2 always aggravates me because they always talk about actors from like Acting Dynasty, and I'm like, all right, let's focus on like the studio heads and the owners and like let's talk about those Nepo Babies, because I don't give a shit if Emma Roberts is getting jobs.
Let's talk about sport. Let's talk about team owners and team executives. And let's talk about the Jones family.
We're waiting for a long time, so I would say let's wait for Eric, but that could be weeks before he.
Yeah, exactly, bitch. We here. I'm sorry. Let's talk about the Hockley. I love the Hockleys. Don't get me wrong, but father and son ref team, is this really what we doing, Mr. Goodell, son of a congressman? I said what I said. Little red-headed bastard.
There's a litany.
Exactly. Yeah, which is why I'm not sweating Bron and LeBron on the same court with the same color jersey. I'm really not. It's cool.
I don't really care about. I don't care about the millionaire workers when the billionaire owners are doing the same thing and no one's talking about them.
Louder.
And I'm honestly, I'm sorry, and this may be the reason why, like I say, a lot of people who are Republican consider me like far left radical, but I think people who are actual communists and socialists think that I'm a shill for capitalism. I think people should be allowed to be rich. I don't have a problem with
like I said, how many times have I said NFL players, firefighters? Well, no, NFL players, fuck firefighters. Actually, I got a story about that. NFL players, call center workers, nurses and hoes and strippers are workers. Cops are not. Firefighters too, because even though no one has written a song called Fuck the Fire Department, with the fact that there is some really well hidden generational racism, maybe we should.
I would imagine that someone could find a ratio of occupied dwellings burning down and fatalities, do a breakdown by race, and find
there's a TikTok that went around the black internet for a while. Man was a delivery driver, stops at a restaurant, sees an older white man celebrating his birthday, says happy birthday to the man. Now, unbidden, unasked for, this older white man unburdens and says that it used to be that if you went into a dwelling and there were black people in that dwelling, they'd let it burn. And he was doing that up until the 70s. What stopped him was, as he was walking, that he was going through a building, saw a child, a baby, basically. He locked eyes with that baby, but walked away and left that child to burn to death. Burned it on this young black man, and like he was looking for forgiveness. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I hope that child greets you in hell. Greets you before you go to hell. Before you go to hell with Henry Kissinger, sir. I'm sorry. I said what I said. I hope that child greets you before you go to hell with Henry Kissinger. But he was like, that shook me. And I'm like, I'm sure it did. So yes, by the way, that means white people, before you unburden racist bullshit onto black people, please ask our permission. Some of us may be in the mood to actually be your emotional cum rag. Some of us may not be. Choose wisely.
That definitely blows away the Liam Neeson confession.
I'm sure it does. And I'm sure, and once again, Liam Neeson probably doesn't regret his confession. Speaking of which, the UK pulled it off.
Yeah, I mean, as much as part of me wants to be morose at the fact that the Labour Party is basically a center-right party and they're not really... The fact is, they beat far-right. And you got to take
your damn victories where you can get them. Listen, there are trans people breathing slightly easier tonight. Joanne is probably having another angry shit. So I don't give a fuck.
Speaking of people who've blocked me on Twitter.
Oh.
Her and Martina Navratilova are the two big ones.
Martina, I don't know what her name was who broke your heart, but I need you to find a good therapist and get over it. I don't know what her name was. I don't know what she did to you.
All I know is that when she dies, her grave will become a gender-neutral bathroom. So
I expected. Let's put it like this. I expected better, but between her and Caitlyn Jenner, I realized that just because you're LGBTQ, sometimes that whiteness just be whiting. It really do.
There's a lot of people who do whatever they can do, no matter what, just to be the second lowest on the ladder.
Yeah, it's a case of you were waiting for you voted for the leopards eating faces party. You knew it was a leopards eating faces party, and now you're mad because the leopard has finally eaten your face. Okay. And sorry, I'm feeling very Ariana Grande when I'm like, yes. And what were we expecting here?
I just it's hard not to be morose lately. And I am terrified of what a second Trump term will bring.
Of course. And for me, I think what it is it's how people are handling it. A lot of the black women who are the backbone, who take that backbone of the Democratic Party mantle seriously, they're terrified too. They're hella terrified, but what they're doing is they're like, no, we're gonna focus it on dragging this man across the finish line. That's all we can and will do. We are not going to sit here and we're gonna we're going to take our fish hooks, dig in, and drag this man across the finish line.
Well, as much as I'm dooming and glooming and saying I am certain that Biden will lose, I am telling everybody that is in no means me saying that you shouldn't vote for him. Because he might win. because he might win.
Like I
And
said, I would rather have 4 months of I would rather have 4 months of Biden and the unfortunate and unthinkable happening, and we get Kamala, than have 4 years of Trump. Because right now, that man still hasn't figured out who he's choosing as his second. Because face it, he doesn't have a very good record on vice presidential relations. And right now, it's looking like JD Vance and his guy liner, which I'm finding hilarious because JD Vance once was very proudly never Trump, but decided, power was just too much for him to
he called him
ignore.
like Hitlery.
Yeah, and but he was though. But he was, Blanche. What the fuck? And now you're just gonna give him a reach around and tickle the taint? Sir. Being vice president is not all that. But here we are. Here we the entire fuck are.
I think I resent. I think you've known me long enough to know that one of the biggest things that I guess I will use the term triggers me, so to speak, is being challenged on something that is just like so emphatically, obviously correct.
Oh, okay,
so
yeah.
When you and I like have a disagreement over what is the more electable scenario, these are honest disagreements that honest people have for different reasons with different theories.
Yes.
But when someone tells me that, it was just a stutter, when someone tells me that it's jet lag from 12 days ago, when someone tells me that, worrying about it, people who worry about it are the bedwetting brigade. Like, I am just like, you can disagree with me pretty hard, but the intelligence insulting aspect of Biden and his spokespeople are killing me. Like,
that's, I know I'm just gonna be honest. I guess the reason I just say, you know what, give me 4 months of Biden and we'll figure out the rest. Like, give me 4 months, give me 4 solid consecutive months, and we will figure out the rest. Versus 4 fucking years of Trump. Like,
the media
that's how I see it.
And the
no,
media
they don't
help. And I don't mean the fact that they're discussing it at all, but the fact that they're glomping onto useless shit. Like, they glomped onto the idea that a Parkinson's doctor or expert was seen at the White House multiple times. Never mind the fact that the doctor could have been there for discussing the policy that was just signed.
Yeah, and it turns out that for a good chunk of the times, Biden wasn't even in the same location.
Yeah. It's also, so Parkinson's is not that uncommon that someone who works at the White House might need to see a neurologist on a regular basis.
So it might be, so it might be someone else. That might be someone else in the White House, or, like I said, policy wonk bullshit.
It's kind of like, I don't like, I didn't like Jen Psaki, and I don't like Karine Jean-Pierre. And there's a lot, and as far as all the other, like Matt Miller and Anthony Blinken, and I forget some of the other spokespeople's names from State Department and all the other things. Like, I find these people over the last 7 months reprehensible, and
there are a lot of different ways that you can learn to hate them.
And Karine Jean-Pierre is one of the people who I just cannot stand the sort of smugness. Same with Matt Miller, that grinning bastard. Like. But the fact that they went so hard after her over this doctor, like, there was some other shit under that.
It might have been I think, at least on Karine Jean-Pierre, I admit, one island person to another, I can understand definitely Karine Jean-Pierre going in and going hard.
I don't care that. No, I was actually upset. Even though I don't like her, I was upset at the reporter.
Yeah.
Like, I think, like, this is one of those times where I don't think that she was being unreasonable, or I don't think that she was really dissembling all that much. Like, there's a legitimate reason to not tell everybody everything.
Exactly.
involving someone. She answered the question that
Lord
Biden
knows,
told her
Lord knows, Sec Def Austin decided to be cute. I remember that
Who the
shit.
fuck has he been?
Secretary of Defense Austin. I mean, I will never forget. He's like, yeah, I got cancer treatment. I didn't want to have a conversation about it. God damn. And I'm like, on one hand, I understand, because as a black man, it's really like the moment people find out you're sick, oh no, it becomes a thing. And he ain't want that in his life. And I get that, but at the same time, at least leave a note. Damn.
I think there's I think the press did it undid the seriousness of their cause by going way too far in on this Parkinson's doctor.
I think like I said, I think the press is just treating every single thing like it's a part of a grad school symposium that they are having way too much. A grad school symposium with an unlimited catering budget. Yeah. Yeah, I think they believe that they are at a grad school symposium with an unlimited catering budget. Honestly.
I think that the real discussion needs to be Biden stays in or he stays out. This discussion needs to wrap up soon, whatever happens.
Yeah, I'm tired. Like, this is where I guess you're gonna have to say your novenas for the convention. You're hoping that at least all the money that the Republicans have wasted on legal fees for Donald, that it's become it's such a shit show.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Republican Party is indeed broke, but the other corollary to that is that the Democratic Party has been outspending the Republican Party by a massive margin in swing states and are still failing. I don't think just the debate explains that. Especially,
I think,
yeah,
and I think also a lot of people. I think what also is happening. Hopefully, what's happening is that, yes, do I think Gaza's a factor? Definitely. I think but I constantly am finding myself circling back to is, but who moved the goddamn embassy to Jerusalem?
There you go.
Who moved the goddamn embassy to Jerusalem, which probably set in motion this current raft of bullshit?
If you're going to snipe several dozen kneecaps, at a protest march, I don't think, it doesn't make targeting civilians right in response correct, but it makes it predictable.
Yeah, basically. And it's the fact that the one thing I will give is the fact that as long as people like Taraji P. Henson and Trump's own words, where he talks about wanting to bring back firing squads, and Taraji P. Henson taking a moment during the BET Awards to be like, oh no, Project 2025 is real. It is a thing. It is happening. What the fuck do you think is going to happen?
To the point where it made Trump had to quasi disown it, despite the fact that I have no idea what it is, but I also disagree with it.
And what I live for is everyone's like, yeah, you're lying. Okay. And we have film. Okay. It's the fact that at least this time there's very little, because that's the one positive side of the media neglect, is that because the media is neglecting it, people are actually saying, hey, listen, no, he can say he disowned it all he wants, but here he is making nice with all the motherfuckers behind it.
One warranty card for a Swedish-made penis enlarger pump. One receipt for a Swedish. It's that whole thing. Like, yeah, I swear I know nothing about this. Really, here's your picture with it,
and here's your book about it. How it is totally your bag, baby. Like, honestly, it's like I said, that's one upside of media neglect. The fact that we can all talk about it, we can all make memes about it. We can all say, yeah, you can say you're not part of it, but this says you is.
What an exhausting 500 years this last week has been.
This has been a very long week. But in my case, my week will be very long. My weekend will be very long as well, but it'll be a good kind of long. because I will be going to I will be going to SuperCon, and SuperCon this year is stacked.
On the non-political front, I had a great weekend.
Yeah.
My wife and I took an extended like 5-day weekend, and my wife and I went out like every day of it, and just like so that like the background noise of politics and life just drifted away for a little while.
Yeah.
But it still feels like that debate was like
for me it's more like I'm going to be going into Miami. Only thing that worries me is I'm going to be going in with my girlfriend. I've now seen that Miami is no longer as LGBTQ friendly as it used to be, and we need to be honest about that.
Do you ever miss days when Florida was best known for Pitbull?
Bitch, I miss the days when we were best known for cocaine. I miss the days when we were best known for cocaine. What the fuck are you talking about?
No one can afford that anymore.
That part. That's why I think the amendment making recreational weed legal will go through, because we can't afford cocaine anymore. Not that I ever did that shit, because I don't like stuff going up my nose or any other orifice. But yeah, honestly, I think what it is Kava is too shishi and doesn't do what needs to be done. Coffee is still cheap. Cafecito is still cheap, thank God. But yeah, cocaine's expensive. We can't be doing this shit all the time anymore.
Well, on that note, I think we will leave it at that. I want to wish everybody a great night. We will see you next time. And this just in, David Zaslav somehow still alive.
Oh my God, I swear. Just
he's
honestly,
Warner Brothers.